Good morning, good afternoon, good night, good day, wherever you are at this time. Are you interested in keeping track of your own habits in order to improve your health? Well, in this video, I explain how I use the Samsung Health app to keep track of some of my habits and how you can do the same and connect other sources of data in order to monitor other habits as well and maybe cut back on some less healthy things. My name is Jimmy Lepping. I'm a psychologist and statistician with an interest in a wide range of research topics, including physical and mental health. And in the next few minutes, I show you a few examples of things you can collect with the Samsung Health app and how it can help you. So the Samsung Health app is an app that has been available on Samsung smartphones for some years. It's available for free. And more recently, they've also been working on a version of the app for iPhones, which is still relatively new, but making progress as well. The Samsung Health app allows users to keep track of the number of hours of sleep a night, one's weight, number of steps, distance walked in a day, time spent on other types of exercises, as well as water consumption in a day. Two variables that I use on a daily basis are the number of hours of sleep and the distance I walk in a day. Reasons for collecting these two variables are simple. Regarding sleep, in my 20s and early 30s, I was a person who undervalued the importance of sleep, worked several jobs next to my studies, then took years of language courses as after-work activities, wanted to explore and learn many things, so at times I spent nights of 4 hours or less and tried to compensate that with higher amounts of coffee and energy drinks. At some point, I realized that this was not a sustainable rhythm, and I started to keep track of my sleep and caffeine consumption. While I've still had smaller periods throughout the more recent years of my life during which I tried to push the limits with sleep and caffeine consumption, overall keeping track of these habits has helped me to reduce this unhealthy pattern, and whenever I feel tempted to do so again, I take measures. As a result, at age 40 today, I am leading a healthier life than, for instance, when I was 20. Although when it comes to sleep, it is not just about quantity, but also at least equally or perhaps more importantly, probably more importantly about the quality or depth of the sleep you get, it is generally a good thing to get enough rest. And for instance, in the upper right on the screen, you see the number of hours of sleep that I get in a night, although there is some variation from day to day. In the past year, which this chart shows, I have taken on average just over 7 hours of sleep a night. And when it comes to coffee consumption, which you do not see in this chart, but is something that I keep track of as well, I take between 2 and 3 cups of coffee a day, usually filter coffee, no energy drinks. And well, the last coffee I usually take around 2 or maybe 3 in the weekends in the afternoon. Then the other variable that I mentioned is the daily walking distance, and I keep track of this because on the one hand I love sports, I love movement, I also spend some time every day on gymnastics, and on the other hand I am a researcher in the social and health sciences who in that profession spends quite a bit of time in a day sitting, and it is recommended to take breaks, go for walks, move, stretch, to do your health a favor, and with age even more so. So in the upper left on the screen, you see the number of kilometers walked in a day, which in the second half of this year has been a little bit lower than in the first half of this year. And there is some variation between days across the year. But all in all, I walk around 6 kilometers a day and combine that with other types of exercise, usually at least gymnastics. So these two charts in the upper part of the table can easily be done in freely available statistical programs such as Jamovi, which I've mentioned here. And you can download the data from your Samsung Health app on your device in the form of a CSV file or several CSV files, which you can then read in Excel to put them in a format that is easily handled in Jamovi on your desktop, laptop, whatever device you're using for the analysis. These charts can help you to see if these habits of walking and sleep are stable or if there are specific trends over time. And regarding the latter, I will show you a bit more in a minute. Then below, for some people who among us who love statistics, including myself, you see autocorrelation functions of distance down on the left and sleep down on the right, and their cross correlation function down in the middle, which can help you assess the types of serial correlation in both variables and how these variables are related across time. Here you see, for instance, that the serial correlation in distance, in my case, is a bit stronger than that of sleep, and that the correlations between distance walked and hours of sleep between different legs of time are quite small. Another way of looking at these data is through network analysis, which for instance I tend to do in a freely available statistical program called JASP, a program which, like Jamovi, can also read CSV files and allows you to do a wide range of analysis on them. In fact, both programs offer more types of analysis than many commercial statistical programs which require expensive licenses. And well, here you can see two networks of the same variables, a week trend in lighter orange, a distance walked in a given day in blue, distance walked the day before, which is called lag 1 because the time unit here is days, in green, sleep in the night following the day given in yellow, sleep the night before in pink, the weekend and weekend versus weekend day in darker orange. On the left, the lines represent simple linear correlations between each variable pair, with thicker lines representing stronger correlations than thinner lines, blue lines indicating positive correlations, and red lines indicating negative correlations. On the right, the network has the same variables, but we have used as an estimator called extended BICG lasso, which is based on partial correlations, but in which smaller partial correlations shrink to zero and are therefore not visible in this network. And this is especially, this estimator, I find it especially useful in larger networks, which with many correlations in order to see how a set of variables included in a network can be grouped together in smaller clusters of variables. So here you see that the distance walked in a given day, here depicted in the blue node, is above all related with the distance walked the day before, at lag 1, here depicted in green. Whereas the number of sleep in the night following the day depicted in blue, which is in this case the yellow node, is especially related to weekend versus no weekend day, and I will expand on this a bit further now. Here you see two of the many charts that I ran and checked myself before preparing this video, because I did not want this to become a video of half an hour with dozens of charts. So I took these two to show how you can study, for instance, the relation between distance walked in a day and distance walked the day before, chart on the left, as well as sleep in the night and sleep in the night before, which is the chart on the right. In both charts I have distinguished between weekdays, that is in my case Mondays to Fridays, and weekend days, because, well, although I spend some time on work during the weekends as well, the time on work during weekends is considerably less than during weekdays. So in the chart on the left, you see that there is a positive correlation between the distance walked yesterday and the distance walked today over this time period of 1 year that I have included in this analysis. And it hardly differs between week and weekend days. Now, for the psychologists and statisticians among us, the R-squared statistic associated with the interaction term, which is the degree to which the orange and blue regression line deviate from going parallel, is about 0.001, which is to say that it explains only about 0.1% of the variation in distance walked. In other words, hardly anything. We may as well just leave this interaction term out and speak of a main effect of lag 1. Distance on today's distance. Then on the right you see the same kind of chart for sleep, but here we do see a slightly more substantial interaction term, although the R-squared value is of a magnitude which in, well, much of the social and health sciences we would consider relatively small. It basically means a correlation of around 0.19, so almost 0.2. Because, well, in addition to the regression lines not going parallel, there is some variation in sleep across this 1 year time window, which is not associated with week versus weekend days. You do see that for average lag 1 sleep, so just over 7 hours. The prediction is that weekend days have an expected number of hours of sleep fairly close to 8, while weekdays have an expected number of hours sleep close to 7. And that with more hours sleep at leg 1, the prediction is a larger difference in favor of weekend days in terms of sleep. So this is to say that it is better not to speak of a constant difference between week and weekend days. Yes, at the average amount of leg 1 sleep, weekend days are predicted to have more, but there is a difference between week and weekend days that depends on the number of hours of sleep at leg 1. Now, away from the statistics, I'm showing you this example of how I'm using an app, in this case the Samsung Health app, to keep track of habits that I consider important these days, that have also helped me to improve some of my habits and what my health as a result over time. And on the one hand, walking enough, in my case, is an important habit, and on the other hand, sleeping enough. And well, there are other apps on the internet which can help to keep track of other habits if those are more of your interest. And you can also combine Samsung Health data and data acquired from other apps to include more habits in your network of analysis. Okay, that's it for this video. I hope you find this useful. And if you have any ideas or suggestions for future videos, feel free to leave a comment below this video or contact me via the email address shared in the description below this video. Thank you for listening and see you soon.